Hi and welcome to the video. I'm Dame and this is Dame Over, and today is part 2 of my Unsung Heroes of Battlefield 1. This is a series where I take a look at those weapons that I think are underappreciated or are massively underrated, like in today's video. Part 1 of this series featured the auto-loading 8.35 Marksman, so if you're interested in checking that out, I'll leave a link to it in the description. And today, as you could tell from the background footage, we're taking a look at the General Liu. So if you guys find this video useful or entertaining, make sure you hit that like button before you go, and if you want to keep up to date with any future posts, then make sure you hit the subscribe button too. Right, let's get to it. So the General Liu, like the Mondragon and the Selbstlader M1916, is in the 3-shot to kill archetype, meaning it only takes 3 shots at any range to shut your opponent down. And it's from these two weapons that I'm going to make my main comparisons today, as they are the most similar to the General Liu. The damage model is also the same as the Mondragon and the Selbstlader, with a max of 40 and a minimum damage of 35. Where the General Liu differs from these two weapons is that it's got a faster fire rate of 299 rounds per minute compared to the Mondragon, which is the next fastest at 257. But to balance this, the General Liu only has 6 rounds available after a full reload. In the clips you're seeing, I've chosen to use the Storm variant over the Factory because the recoil stats are a little bit better. Okay, so while knowing the stats is very important and sometimes can be very useful for your weapon choices, the most important part is how the weapon feels and how you play with it. And the General Liu was actually one of those weapons that really fit with my playstyle very quickly. In this loadout, I chose to go full medic, so I was having bandage pouches and I was using the medical syringe to keep my teammates up and in the fight, and as a result of that, I was playing very aggressively as well, which might seem a little bit counterproductive with a weapon like the General Liu, which is obviously far more suited to longer and mid-range fights because of its 3 shots to kill. And you'd also think being up in close quarters makes it quite difficult to finish a fight if you've only got 6 rounds available. But having just recently practiced quite a lot with the 8.35 Marksman, which only has 5 rounds in each mag, I was far more used to using the small magazine size in close quarters than I have been before. I've not really played with the General Liu since the TTK patch, and I feel like an absolute idiot for having missed this out for such a long period of time. There isn't much that the General Liu is actually bad at. I mean, in close quarters, you're going to struggle when you come up against something like the SMG-08 or a shotgun, and definitely counter-sniping has a bit of skill involved with it too, but the General Liu having 3 shots to kill means you can challenge at range very, very effectively. Even at mid-range, you're still able to take targets down very easily because of this short time to kill. And having that fast fire rate means that in close quarters, you'll generally stand a very, very good chance of walking away from the fight. Combining that with being able to heal yourself on the move makes it incredibly difficult to take someone down using the General Liu, as it's so hard to find a range where it's not going to be that effective. To me, it feels like an improved version of the Mondragon Storm, which, as we know, in the early days of Battlefield 1 was the go-to medic rifle because of its effectiveness at so many different ranges. The only real downside is having just 6 bullets available after a full reload. It does sometimes limit the longevity you can have in a fight, but the reload time itself is actually pretty fast as it's done with a strip clip, so even with 1 bullet left in the magazine you can load all the way back up to 6 and jump back in the fight. Just like with the other low ammo capacity medic rifles, pairing it with a decent sidearm is very important in close quarters, especially if you're fighting multiple enemies, as you'll more often than not be forced to switch between your weapons. One thing I found very important to the level of effectiveness you can have with the General Liu is the medic class's ability to self-heal. I spoke about this in a bit more detail in my best way to play video, so if you want to check that out, I'll leave a link to it in the description. But basically, having the self-healing abilities turns you into a bit of a juggernaut and therefore makes you very difficult to shut down. All in all, the General Liu is a very powerful and very effective weapon. There were quite a few times where I found myself going, why have I not played with this gun before? And how is it so good and no one's using it? So I would definitely recommend you guys jumping into the game and using the General Liu and finding out how good it is for yourself. It's jumped way up in my estimations after a little bit of practice, and it's certainly firmly fixed in the top 5 medic weapons that I would choose to play with. But that's just what I think. What do you guys make of the General Liu? Have you used it before? Have you used it since the TTK patch? Make sure you let me know what your experiences are in the comments below. And a quick thank you to those of you who are helping me not get game over by supporting the channel through Patreon. It's because of your guys' generosity that I'm able to make videos as often as I do, so thank you. And if you'd like to become a patron yourself, then I've left a link to the Patreon page in the description and in my pinned comment, where if you'd like to, you can support the channel from as little as $1 a month. So if you had a good time, make sure you hit that like button. If you're new around here, hit the subscribe button too. Make sure you've hit the bell button so you get guaranteed notifications of any new posts I make. Feel free to share this video with whoever and wherever you like. And until next time, that's Dame Over. Peace.